because after what happened in Ward 0, I don't exist anymore, not as the person I was. It started with an email, internal transfer. Report to sub-basement, door 7B at 11 p.m. Solo shift, no phone, no pager. I was told it was a special observation detail. When I asked what I'd be observing, my supervisor just said, "You'll know when you get there." I should have quit, but I needed the hazard pay. The sub-basement was a labyrinth of old corridors. I followed a yellow line painted on the floor through a series of heavy fire doors, each requiring a key card. Door 7B was steel, with a small reinforced window. I swiped my card, entered a code, and heard the bolts retract. The room was small, maybe 15 by 20 feet. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. In the center was a single hospital bed, raised high. On it lay a figure covered from head to toe in a white sheet. To the left was a desk with a logbook and a laminated instruction sheet. I sat down and read. Monitor the patient. Record changes every hour. Do not approach the bed. Do not remove the sheet. In the event of... The next section was blacked out with marker. All I could make out was the word containment. I looked at the bed. The sheet was still. No rise and fall. No sound. I opened the logbook. The entries went back 7 years. Each was a single line. No change. 0-200. Sounds reported. No movement. 0-300. 7 years of someone sitting in this chair, watching. I wrote, no change. 2,300. For the first hour, nothing. The silence was heavy. I noticed the shape under the sheet was wrong. Shoulders too wide, arms too long. Where the feet should be, the sheet just hung empty. At midnight, I heard a sound. A soft, wet click, like a tongue. It came from under the sheet. I wrote, 0000. Audible oral sounds. The sounds continued, rhythmic. Then they stopped. The silence that followed was expectant. At 2 a.m., I heard breathing, heavy, slow, coming from the bed. The sheet was rising and falling. I wrote it down, my hand shaking. Then the sheet twitched. A ripple ran down the length of the body. I stood up, backing toward the door. The instruction sheet said to leave only if the patient tried to sit up. It hadn't. I forced myself back to the chair. At 3 a.m., the voice came. A whisper, dry and cracked, like paper tearing. Daniel. I froze. Daniel, you're new. I didn't answer. The instruction sheet said not to respond. I wrote, 0300. Patient vocalized, spoke my name. I know your name because I know everyone who comes in here. I've been here a long time, longer than you've been alive. I closed the logbook. The voice sighed. Do you want to know what's under the sheet? Everyone does. Some of them last one night, some last a week. There was a woman named Margaret. She lasted 3 months. She talked to me every night. She was very brave, until she wasn't. The sheet rustled, the shape shifted, as if turning toward me. Would you like to see? I stood up, walked to the door. My hand was on the handle when the voice said, Don't go, Daniel. If you go, they'll send someone else. And I don't want someone else. I want you. I opened the door and left. I stood in the corridor, heart pounding, but I went back in. I don't know why. I sat in the chair. The voice was silent for the rest of the shift. I returned the next night, and the night after. Each night at 3 a.m., the voice spoke to me. It told me about the hospital, about the other nurses who had sat in that chair. Some had stayed too long, it said. Some had left pieces of noticed the changes, the dreams, the itching, the way your reflection doesn't quite match. I hadn't told anyone about the dreams, or the itching, or how my reflection in the bathroom mirror sometimes blinked a second after I did. I know everything about you, Daniel, because you're letting me in. I stood up. I walked to the bed. I don't know why. I stood at the foot, looking at the sheet. The voice was silent. I reached out. My fingers touched the fabric. The voice exploded in my head, not a whisper, a scream. Don't! I pulled back. The sheet rippled violently. The bed shook. Lights flickered. Then silence. The voice returned to a whisper. Not yet. You're not ready. But you will be. The next morning, the security guard read my log and said, "You touched the sheet." I didn't answer. You shouldn't have done that. Now it knows you. I didn't go back the next night. I stayed home. My skin itched. I looked at my arms. There were faint lines under the skin, pale and branching, like veins, but not veins. I scrubbed. They deepened. That night, the voice came not from the room, but inside my head. You can't stay away, Daniel. You're already mine. Once you touch the sheet, you carry a piece of me, and that piece grows. I looked at my arms. The lines had spread to my shoulders. I went back to the hospital. My body moved on its own. When I sat in the chair, the voice said, "Good. Now we can begin." It told me what it was. It had been in the ground before the hospital was built, in the bones of the unclaimed dead. It had waited decades for the living to come close enough to reach. I need a body, Daniel. A living one. The ones in the beds were too old. Their minds crumbled. But you're young. You'll last. You've been letting me in for 7 nights.